Hi all, my name is Mahesh Kumar Vaka. In this session, we are going to talk about abstract classes and interfaces. In our previous sessions, we have talked about OOPS concepts, and to go much in detail about abstraction, we need to learn about abstract classes and interfaces. So, the abstraction itself says that we just got to focus on what is the thing which we want to implement rather than how it's implemented. What is the thing we want to implement? That's what the focus is on. So here in Java, we have a keyword called abstract. So here I have mentioned the abstract keyword, right? So abstract is a keyword. So what abstract means is it is not an access modifier. When we talk about access modifiers, we talk about only public, private, protected, or the no modifier, that is the default. But here when we are saying that abstract is a non-access modifier, it is not something that is dealing with who is going to be uh, accessing the class or the method or something like that. But it is about how or in what way we can implement the abstraction. So primarily we use the abstract keyword for classes and methods. So how to understand this is simple. Like if we understand the concept of abstraction, we have two ways to implement abstraction in Java, like abstract class and the interface. So in two ways we can implement the abstraction. Again, when I am saying abstraction, it is about what we are going to implement rather than how we are going to implement. So I will explain about abstract class and interface with a simple example and also a simple piece of code which I have used. And for this, I have used the example of the IPL auction. So I will I will show about the program, but first understand what abstract class is. So abstract class is a class declared using the abstract keyword. So when we are declaring our abstract class, we have to use the keyword abstract. That's for sure. And also it can have abstract methods and non-abstract methods. What are these non-abstract methods or concrete methods? Those are nothing but the methods with some body already written for it. Abstract methods will not have any body. So abstract class, how to declare it and how to do that, I will show through an example here. So here I have created the package or the project name as Mega Auction, and in that I have created the abstract class. So you see the keyword abstract here. This is something new to us. So this is how we will be declaring the abstract class. So this keyword is mandatory. So I have named my class as IPL auction, and in that I have created a method called abstract string budget, meaning it is expecting to have a string to be returned. So budget is some method I have put in my IPL auction class. And also I have written a concrete method. When I'm saying concrete method, here I am already defining some body for my method. So I have put max retention players as 4. So this is something I already gave an implementation for. So this is the body of the max retention players method. So it's just returning the integer as 4. So this is how I have created one abstract method and one concrete method. All right. So this abstract class is going to have one abstract method and one concrete method. Also, I have just told that it is used for classes and methods only. Why not use it for a variable? Let us say I'm using this abstract string title sponsors equals to Tata. Let us say that. So here you see already a red mark for that. Here it's saying that it is an illegal modifier. Here abstract is not allowed for the variables. That's why we should not use abstract for variables. Okay. So yeah, if we go ahead for that, abstract class is something that cannot be instantiated. When I'm saying instantiation, instantiation is something the way through which we will be able to create the object. But for this abstract class, we cannot instantiate. Then you might be wondering what is the use of this class then? That we will know by the implementation of inheritance. I already told in inheritance we just have to be able to get the features from the parent class. So there will be two concepts called child class and parent class, or say subclass and superclass. So here, let us say this IPL auction is the parent class or the superclass, and then we will try to uh, give some other classes which will extend this class. So when I'm saying extending, I'm implementing the inheritance concept. So here I have given with some three teams like Mumbai Indians auction. So in Mumbai Indians auction, this is not an abstract class, this is a normal class, but it is a subclass. It is getting the features from its parent class, that is the IPL auction. Here, major thing to remember is we have to override the abstract methods because in our parent class there is no body for this, right? So we will have to implement that particular method by a body. So here that's why we have given the budget for Mumbai Indians as 90 crores. That's just a simple implementation. So I have overridden the existing budget method from the IPL auction class and I have returned 90 crores. Similarly, I have done the same for Sunrisers Hyderabad and Delhi Capitals. For now, we will be stopping with three classes, and in the main class, I have I have just tried to create objects and then try to see and print the budgets here. So here you see that I am creating the objects with IPL auction type because you see here IPL auction and MI auction, IPL auction DC auction, IPL auction SRH auction. This is how I named my reference variables, right? The important thing to remember here is we will be able to give the type of the abstract class. But if we try to create an object or instantiate that abstract class, we will not be able to do that. Let us say I am using here new IPL auction, and if I am trying to do this, you are already seeing a red mark under it. It is saying that cannot instantiate the type IPL auction. It is saying that because it is an abstract class, we will not be able to instantiate it. But we will be able to take it as a type and just use the subclasses or the child classes to create our own objects. So here I have created objects for each of these classes: Mumbai Indians, Sunrisers Hyderabad, and Delhi Auctions. So, so I have named the reference variables as MI auction, DC auction, and SRH auction. So after that, what I tried to do is I tried to access the method from the corresponding class. The method here is budget. So here I am just printing the budgets here. So this is how we will implement an abstract class. So if I try to run it as a Java application, and then we will be able to see the budget for the concerned teams. Okay, so this is all about abstraction. So simple thing, we have to make sure that our abstract class is going to have some abstract methods. It is optional to use concrete methods, but if we are using abstract class, it's good to have this abstract methods, meaning there will not be any body. And also remember that we will not be able to instantiate the abstract class. That is, we cannot create an object of that directly. So for that, what we have to do is we have to implement the inheritance concept and use subclasses so that we will be able to provide the functionality for the corresponding abstract methods. So here our abstract method was budget. So for that we have given our custom implementation. That is the simple understanding about abstract class. We will go ahead further with interface. We will understand what an interface also. So interface is another way of implementing abstraction. So when I'm saying another way of implementing abstraction, it will be just having uh, the similar way of just focusing on what needs to be implemented rather than how. So here I have given the definition or say a statement that it is a blueprint of a class and a mechanism to achieve abstraction. Similar to abstract classes, we can we cannot instantiate or we cannot create an object with this interface. I'll show that as well in the same project. I have created another file called sponsorship. But here I have used the keyword interface. This is not a class. This is not a class. This is an interface. So in this interface, sponsorship, I have given one variable, and also I have given two methods saying that what are the principal sponsors and what are the associate sponsors. So for that I used the return type as array of string. When I'm keeping string with these kind of braces, it is about it is about an array of string. So we will have multiple sponsors, right, for each team. That's why I have returned it as a array of string. Similarly for associate sponsors. So how to make use of this interface sponsorship? Just the way we used we used the abstract class, we can similarly use this sponsorship also. So I can just go to the corresponding auction class, Mumbai Indians and Sunrisers Hyderabad and Delhi Capitals. Here for implementing, or say for taking into account the inheritance, I used the keyword extends, right? Similarly, for making use of an interface, we have to use the keyword implements, right? So we have to implement an interface and we have to extend a class. Make that idea clear. Like for classes, we use extends in case of a parent and child class, but for interfaces, we have to use the keyword implements. So I am implementing sponsorship here, and you also see that there is an red mark here. It is saying, or it is pushing us to look at the error. So it's saying that we have to add the unimplemented methods, right? In this sponsorship interface, we have got two methods which are asking for principal sponsors and associate sponsors. So I have to implement that, right? Meaning I have to give somebody for both of those methods. I've already given that. Just for the time's sake, I'm not typing right now. I have already implemented it, so I will explain those things in a simple way. Like public string array principal sponsors and public string array associate sponsors. So this string array is the return type. So from this method, we are expecting an array of strings. Okay, so that is why for Mumbai Indians auction, I have just given this return statement as we are having the principal sponsors as slice. So that's why I have given an array with the principal sponsors as slice. Similarly, for associate sponsors, I have used an array of strings with Astral Pipes and Reliance Jio. This is how I implemented. So I have methods in my interface. I implemented those interfaces in my own way. Similarly, for Sunrisers Hyderabad also. So here we have given the principal sponsors as some different companies like Ralco Tires and Kent Mineral RO, Reliance Jio, etc. etc. All right. So similarly, we have to implement our interface here. Implements sponsorship. All right. So once we implement this only, we should be overriding these corresponding methods. So similarly, I will do the same for Delhi Capitals as well. All right. All right. So from each of these methods, I am going to return string arrays. All right. So here we also see the same thing, but what is the difference and how or when to implement an abstract class or an interface? I'll talk about that. But before that, let's try to execute this further. So here our class is extending one parent class and implementing one interface. That's what we have to understand here. All right. So here we are able to achieve the abstraction through an abstract class IPL auction and interface sponsorship. All right. If things are clear so far, we will just try to similarly create objects for the sponsorship type. Okay. So let us say I'm trying to create objects just the way I used for IPL auction as the type. I can use my interface also as a type. but I cannot be able to create an object for my interface. So let us say I'm trying to do this new sponsorship. It will not allow me. See, already you see a red mark under there, and it's saying cannot instantiate the type sponsorship. So that is why we used it as the type, but we should not be able to instantiate it. So for instantiation, we used the classes, which we implemented this interface and extended the uh, IPL auction class. Okay. So with this, I have created three more objects. So which are referred as MI sponsor, DC sponsor, and SRH sponsor. So we will also try to print these values out of these, and I'm just going ahead with some other print statements. All right. Here I should be able to. So here I'm using something called as arrays.toString. Why I use that, I'll tell you. Okay. Yeah. Because we are returning an array of strings, we have to make sure that we are using this arrays.toString method so that we will be able to see our values. Okay. So here I'm just running my program once again, and yeah. So here we are seeing the sponsors for MI, sponsors for DC, and sponsors for SRH. Like that, we will be able to implement both abstract class and sponsorship. So that's how we achieved our abstraction. So we have given our own custom implementation for each of the abstract methods, right? So that's how abstraction concept can be made clear of. Okay. So here we might already have observed that both these things seems to be very similar, right? Abstract class and interface, except that we used the keyword abstract for creating an abstract class, and for creating an interface we used interface, right? Other than that, things seems to be similar, but there are quite a few differences. This is also an important concept in the perspective of an interviewer as well. So when the interviewer asks you about abstract class and interface, and they'll ask you how to choose whether I should use abstract class or an interface, that is one important question. So in that case, you can simply say that variables in interfaces are public, static, and final by default. How we can say that? I'll just show you in my sponsorship. String title sponsors equals to Tata is something which I gave, and in my main class, if I try to override it, let us say I'm trying to use the object mi sponsor and try to override it. So it's saying that the final field sponsorship.title sponsors cannot be assigned. So it's saying something like final. Maybe you're not aware of the keyword final, but final is something like we cannot override it. We can just have to make use of the existing value only. We should not be overriding it. So that's how we can confirm that variables in interfaces are public. Static is something you already know. That is nothing but a class variable. And final means something that cannot be overridden. So that's how the variables in interfaces are. And in abstract classes, it is not mandatory that each of the variables have to be final, like or static like that. In abstract classes, we can have final, non-final, static, and non-static variables. And in case of an interface, it can implement another interface. When I'm saying interfaces, every time we use interfaces, we use the keyword implements, and for classes, we use the keyword extends. So an interface can implement another interface only. If you come to the case of an abstract class, it can extend another class, and also it can implement multiple Java interfaces. So there is a statement called multiple inheritance is not possible with classes, but it is possible with interfaces, right? About that topic, I will explain in detail in the further sessions. But for now, understand that an abstract class can extend another class and also be able to implement the interfaces as well. It is not possible with interface. Interface cannot extend the class. Okay. Also, interface can't have constructors. And abstract class can have constructors. Maybe you're not aware of constructors, but constructor is something just like a method which exists with the same name of our class. So here when I'm saying Mumbai Indians auction, and within this I am giving some braces, right? Just like how we are using for budget. Budget is already a method. But Mumbai Indians auction with these braces I have not defined anywhere, right? So how that is coming up or how it is creating an object, I will tell in the further session. But understand that this is a constructor. Through this constructor, we are able to create our object. Okay. So interface cannot be able to have these constructors, but abstract class can have constructors. Okay. Those are some of the differences. This is not the whole. These are something very basic. If you want to understand about how to choose between abstract classes and interfaces, you can refer this documentation from the Oracle, wherein it will say about when or in which case we have to use abstract class or interface. So these are the key concepts. Maybe you will not be understanding the whole of it, but understand the points here. Like if you want to share the code among several closely related classes. In our example, if you take Mumbai Indians auction and Sunrisers Hyderabad auction and Delhi Capitals auction, all these are somehow related to this or closely related to this IPL auction, right? So in that case, you can go for abstract classes. And also, we have there are some other statements like you want to declare non-static or non-final fields. In that case, also we can use abstract classes. Similarly, for interfaces, if you observe the changes, if you want to take advantage of multiple inheritance, maybe in that case we can use interfaces. You may be not be aware of multiple inheritance as of now, but I will explain that thing in the further sessions. And also, if you want to specify the behavior of a particular data type, but not concerned about who implements that, then you can go for interfaces. There are several pros and cons with each of these things. I'll explain those things maybe in another playlist like interview questions. But for now, this is all about abstract classes and interfaces and the way to achieve the abstraction in Java. So I hope that you learned something out of this, and some part of abstraction is clear. These things are very much important in the interview perspective as well. Do learn it and also practice it and think of your own use case and try to implement this.